The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So, what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending, and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all three services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Kuchera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome in. Good afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those on Facebook following us, I appreciate that very much. Keep the momentum going. Keep letting us know what you think, what you feel. Give us some questions. We'll try to interact as much as we can. Just some reminders before we start up our topic today. The topic is going to be some new studies out in research just kind of released exactly what millennials and consumers in general are looking for in the real estate and lending industry. And I've talked about this several times before, and you hear a lot of talk about millennials, what they want, what they look for, the perception. A lot of the perceptions, you may be surprised, I think people just automatically think. So I'm going to cover that in the show today. If a couple different ways to tune in. Once again, the best thing you could do, follow us on Facebook. You could certainly do that. Type in Real Estate Radio Live when you're online. Also, be sure to download the podcast. This is the best thing to do because then you can follow the show, listen to it when you want, at your convenience, when you want to do that. A couple different ways. You could just go to iTunes, type in Real Estate Radio Live, download the podcast, or you could go to our website, reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. You can download the podcast there and give us any feedback. If you're listening to the podcast, the way to reach me during the week, two different ways to do that. One, you could always check in at 408-838-9060. Get a lot of calls and texts during the week about questions and things that I could help people with. Keep those coming. Also, email joe at reradiolive.com. That's joe at reradiolive.com. And be prepared, stay tuned, don't miss out next week. The next 1 or 2 weeks, we're going to have some exciting announcements on some new developments with Real Estate Radio Live and some of the partnerships that we are doing to really continue to bring more value to the consumers and the real estate industry as well. All right, let's get started on this. So some new research, I think let's just kind of cover what most people's perception is in and around millennials is, I think when you don't do the research, you don't really know what the research tells us. Automatically, a lot of us assume that the millennials aren't really relational. They really don't want to meet with people. They don't want to talk to people. They just want to be, they want their handheld units and they want their technology and they want things quick and fast and good to go. However, that's not exactly 100% true. I think that's just a perception. One of the things we all need to understand is our customers. So there's no doubt the baby boomers are more relational. They're not quite attached to and, committed to their mobile devices, even though they are to a certain extent, but not as much. We weren't born and raised with them the way the millennials are, and then the younger generations as well. So that's what the perception is. But here's what the reality is. Some recent studies from Housing Wire, which is a really great source for real estate, mortgage, and any type of real estate, is Housing Wire. And they're giving us some interesting details that I wanted to share with you today. And let me just read some of them to you to get the exact details. So again, I told you a little bit about the perception and that they need to understand. So they explained here in the article that millennials rely heavily on and even expect their lenders and realtors to use technology to help ease the pain of buying, selling homes, etc. A recent study showed 88% of millennials use online resources when buying a home. So you could split hairs and say, well, what about selling a home and what about... But the bottom line here, ladies and gentlemen, and most of us should know this by now if we don't, is that more and more people, more and more, you hear this all the time from me certainly, we have a more educated and informed society and consumer base. It is just, that's the truth. So again, I'll talk about this, and I'll continue talking about it. You guys will hear it a lot. Our industry and any other industry, we have to understand this. What does this mean? When you have a more educated and informed consumer base, guess what happens? What's likely to happen is they're going to ask better questions. They're going to expect better service. They're going to expect better pricing. This is just the way the dynamics go. You could argue it. You could fight it. You could say it's not right. You could say, I've done everything this way. It's always the way it is. You could do all those things. But I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to explain what's going on in the dynamics of the industry. We have a more informed and educated consumer. Most of us, anybody would agree with that. Okay? So as a business, as an industry, in our case, lending, real estate, title, we need to step up our game and figure out how we match the requests and the expectations of the consumer. And some of us are doing it, some of us are not. Some companies are trying to come into the industry and make some changes. Some will succeed, some will not. That is the reality. That's the reality. So what this article also tells us and shares with us, that don't think that the millennials still are not interested and engaging in phone calls and face-to-face, because they are. Matter of fact, the research and the studies show that the majority of millennials still want to build relationships, they want to meet face-to-face, and they want phone calls. Okay, so let's get that cleared up. So the perception, again, is most don't. So understand, most millennials, the percentage shows, the majority of them still see value in the phone calls and face-to-face interaction. Here's where things start to change. So follow me here. Stick with me. So where things start to change with millennials is their expectations of the use of technology is more demanding on our industry and other industries. What I mean by that is they still want to meet with us. They still want to talk to us. But when they start doing business with us, they expect us to make a better use of technology to improve the customer experience. Does that make sense? So on the lending side, they expect once they engage and once they decide to go with a lender, that we as a lender should make a better use of technology. What does that mean? I'll give you some examples. I'll take you through the process. So when I start an application with someone, we do that either online, in person, on the phone, whatever. And then what we typically do is discuss expectations, talk information, take some initial data from them. And then what I do is I send an email copying my entire team. It goes to the client. In that email, I'll give you an example where things have changed. In that email, it gives them a secured link to upload all their documents without having to scan, fax, or email them. So they can upload all their documents securely and send them to us. And our technology allows to take those documents and then actually categorize them and put them in the electronic file for that particular client. So now we have all these documents, tax returns, W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements, those things. So our technology allows those documents to be uploaded and then organized in the file. That's a good use of technology for everybody. Why should a consumer, unless they want to, have to take a big stack of files in front of them and bring them to their lender and have someone copy them? Why would the consumer have to go copy them themselves? Why would the consumer have to scan all these documents and then convert them to a PDF and send them to you via email? Why would a consumer have to put a big pack in a FedEx envelope and send them to you? This is an example of a better use of technology. This is what we should be doing. Next step. How to use technology in lending. Let me tell you the way we do it. So the consumer, we get their documents. Once a consumer engages with us for a loan, they get emails on every single step of that transaction that automatically engages them. For instance, once the documents come in, they get an email that says, "Congratulations, we received your documents. They're in review." Next step, "Congratulations, your documents are moved to our underwriting team. Congratulations, your loan has been approved. Your representative will be in touch with you recently or soon to go over conditions for you and next steps. Your appraisal's in. Your loan's in final approval. Your docs have been ordered. Your docs are in title. You go sign your docs." Clients go sign their documents in title or remotely, wherever they do it. They automatically get an email. Lets them know when it's funded, when it's recorded. Even better, we take it to the next level. They automatically get an email, and everybody that does a loan with us, they go into a post-closing marketing campaign. What does that mean? You don't have to think about it. Automatically, each person that does a loan with us, they automatically each month get an update on the market update, what's going on, any pertinent information. They also get a birthday card. They get an anniversary card based on if there's a purchase. So each year from the purchase, they get an anniversary card. They each get a holiday card and then an annual review. So our clients are automatically touched 4 or 5 times a year with the use of technology. That's an example. I'm not saying that's the best out there, but that's pretty close. That's an example of the best use of technology, okay, on the lending side. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, just 1 minute here, stay with us on Facebook. When I come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about the real estate side, what expectations the millennials and consumers have, and what type of technology should be used or deployed sooner than later. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Stick with us. I'll be back with you in a minute to continue the show.
For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all 3 services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I am back with you. We're discussing today the topic, what are the expectations, new research data surveys out on what millennials and consumers, specifically more so millennials, what their expectations are and what they really want from lenders and the real estate industry. So the first segment I covered just kind of a summary of what that was, some of the perceptions, some of the things that people are not quite understanding. The quick summary, millennials still want to build relationships. They still like face-to-face. They still want phone calls. The difference is this. When they engage and they decide to do business with you, they want a better use of technology. So in the first segment, I kind of took us through what the expectations are from the lending side, and I gave you an example of what we do here on the lending side. And I'm not just saying this, but I could tell you that we do so much more than the average lender, even some of the major lenders like Wells Fargo, Chase, B of A, and some of these. Most of them do not use technology at all to improve the customer experience. I did a show a couple weeks ago that explained, and if you missed it, this is some real quick, I don't want to get sidetracked too much, but Fannie and Freddie are responsible for the loans, are governing our loans and in kind of the mortgage world in which we live. And each of those, Fannie and Freddie, real quickly, they made more profit per employee than any other company in the entire United States. That's right. You heard that right. Fannie and Freddie, who operate in our mortgage-backed securities and the conforming loans and the government loans and the back loans, so they made more profit per employee. They were 1 and 3 in the country than any other company in the United States. That's right. More per employee than Google, than Facebook, than any of these companies. And you're scratching your head going, what? What are you talking about, Joe? Let me tell you why I bring this up. The reason I bring this up is that there's no excuse that this industry shouldn't be reinvesting a lot of money into improving the customer experience. That's why I bring it up. And this is the perfect example. So on the real estate side, it's the same thing. Consumers have an expectation. Let me read you some quick stats. And again, these are third party. You're welcome to do the research yourself. And I get these. This is not something I came up with. This is a reality. 95% of consumers start their search online when it comes to real estate and lending. Okay? Most people would probably agree. Okay, that makes sense. 95% of people start their research online. This takes me back to the point of we have a more educated, informed consumer. Okay, I think we're all both on board. Everybody's on board with that. Now, here's where it starts to change a little bit. So once the consumer makes a decision to buy or sell their home, okay, 88%, so almost 90% of consumers want to use a qualified realtor. These are real. This is real data. This is stuff that exists, okay? This is not something people are pulling out of the sky. So what the research tells us is that nearly 90% of people still want a qualified realtor. Perfect. We got that. Here's where it starts to change. And this is where the industry has failed to meet the expectations of the consumer. So now, once they've decided to use a real estate agent, okay, what's next? 68%, or nearly 70% of people want to be able to negotiate and shop. That's the part that has changed over the last several years. That number wasn't that high before. 68%. Think about that. Nearly 7 out of 10 people want to be able to negotiate and shop rates and fees when it comes to real estate and lending. So you could say, oh, Joe, that's okay. My customers are different and I work on a different level and I'm more valuable and all this kind of stuff. You could make up all kinds of reasons why you don't want to adapt. But you should adapt and we should adapt because this is what the consumers want. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but these are the kinds of things that we need to understand. So 68%. This is where it changes with the millennials too, ladies and gentlemen. This is the part that our industry hasn't got yet. And so where our industry stops short is our industry says, hey, look at this. 88% of people still want to use a realtor or lender or whatever, right? Great. Here's the problem. Once we hear that information, we plug our ears, close our eyes, turn our heads, stick our heads in the sand, and we don't do any additional research. So for you consumers out there, we hear you, we understand. We as an industry need to change. We need to make adjustments. And I would tell you this, as a consumer, you deserve it. So I'm saying this in my business too. Don't be loyal to a fault. Remember, all of us are consumers. It's real easy for us to judge other industries and other people, but all of us are consumers. I could guarantee you, whether I'm a real estate agent or a lender, and I feel a certain pride or a certain way, a certain amount of money I should make or what my value is, right? We're fighting for that and holding that up, say, for an example. But I could tell you that very same real estate agent or me or lender or anybody else in our industry, when we go out to buy furniture or use a contractor or get a home design or buy a car, I could go on and on. There's a reason they call us consumers. We consume. When we go do that, what do we do? What do we do? We want great service, right? But what else do we want? We want competitive pricing. We want market pricing, don't we? So you have to put yourself in everybody else's shoes. We can't think that we're an isolated industry that doesn't understand what's going on in the rest of the world. This is what millennials want. This is what consumers want. In general, they want a better use of technology, and it's just evolved that way. It's come that way. It's developed. It's not going to change. So what we really need to do is make the adjustments as an industry. And the consumers out there listening to this podcast or listening to this show, whether it's on Facebook or podcast, radio, and whatever, wherever it is, remember, don't be loyal to a fault. I think most of us want to work with people we like and we trust. I've always said that for years. Most consumers, you could research what you want, but when it comes to some of the most expensive decisions we make or costly decisions we make, and home ownership is one of those, if not the most, and we trust someone with lending money, we're about ready to take on $1 million debt, you have to trust these people and you have to like them. Those are two really important components. It really is. You could do the research. Those are what it is. So my point is, that's where it starts. But I've seen over the last several years, I have seen a change. I could tell you roughly in my business, 30 to 40% of customers, clients, even people I've worked with for the last 2 decades are now more educated and informed. And you might say, Joe, what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. They're shopping more. They're comparing rates more. They're comparing fees more. They just are. And most people would tell you that there is an extreme value to a trusting relationship. All of us would agree. I think most people would agree. Now, there's some people, honestly, and we know that, right? There's a small percentage of people, they don't care how they're treated or what the person's like or what's going on. But if you give them the best deal, they're good to go. They'll give you a double thumbs up and be on their way. That's the way it goes. Most people, however, want to be treated right. They want to be respected. They want to be acknowledged. They want the person to appreciate the relationship in which they're engaging, right? That is the beginning. Then where we really need to make the adjustment is, how do we change our business models and make adjustments to our business models so that we adapt to this consumer's needs on pricing and technology? Here is my take before we finish up today to the consumer and to our industry. We as consumers will keep expecting more. That's just the way life is. We want things quicker, faster, more efficient. We want to save more money. That's just the way, that's what technology is supposed to do. That's what consumers want. We're all consumers, first and foremost. Secondly, as an industry, lending in real estate, we have to make adjustments to that. What does that mean? We have to change models. We have to look at our business model and find out, what are we doing? What type of changes do we need to make to better adapt to accommodate the consumer of the future and the consumer, quite frankly, right now, today, and going forward? What does that look like? Look at other companies that have adapted. Do some research on other companies that have adapted. Don't take my word for it. Do some research on companies that are successful year after year, decade after decade. I could tell you the one thing that's in common is they continue to evolve. They continue to do focus groups, research. What's the consumer want? What kind of changes do we need? What are they complaining about? What are they raving about? And they make adjustments to their business around that. That's what we need to start doing. And that's what we need to make an effort at. All right, to summarize again, if you need any more information, if I could help you on the lending side, information on real estate, referring anyone on the real estate side, CPA, financial planners, attorneys. We have a network of people here to help you. You can contact me during the week, 408-838-9060. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to download that podcast at reradiolive.com. Until next time, take care.
For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.